Hey guys, this is Julian of Julian Gray Media, and on today's Absolute Basics of Music Production, we're going to be covering a technique that is used widely in house music and techno. It kind of has originated in the underground community with the warehouse kind of theme, and has built itself into modern pop and EDM and those kind of things. The technique we're going to be learning today is the white noise sweep. You're probably familiar with it even if you don't know the terminology. It is the thing like right before a drop or a build up that goes shh and then drops to a shh, and it kind of builds into your track and helps layer a little bit more energy and building power to your track. So I'm only going to be explaining the basics of this. You can do a lot of cool things with it. You can add phasing and flanger and that sort of thing, but we're only going to be using the absolute basics here. First things first, we're going to need something to generate that tone. The tone that is used in a white noise sweep or a noise sweep is obviously noise, white noise. And to do that, we're only going to be using Ableton utilities. So if you guys don't have any of the plugins I normally use, like Serum or Strobe or Massive or whatever, fear not, we're going to only be using Ableton Live 9 plugins. So let's just grab the analog plugin here. It is one of the synthesizers built into Ableton. And we're going to disable oscillator 1. And we're going to disable oscillator 2, the filter, and then we're going to enable the noise oscillator. Let's turn that color all the way up, and then if we play a note, we get something like that. It's a very, very harsh kind of white noise sound. But if you notice, when we hit the note and release it, it kind of hangs over a little bit, and that's not something we want in this case. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the amplifier. The amplifier, or the amp for short, determines how long the note is held for and how long it's sustained and the amount of time it takes to hit 0 decibels after you release it. If you want to check out more information on the basics of synthesizers and that sort of thing, you can check out my Absolute Basics video on synths and the history of them here. Okay. In that video, I'll explain envelopes a little bit better. But in this case, we're just going to be doing this. We're going to drag the sustain time all the way up. We're going to drag the release time all the way down, so that way we get one solid note and we can hit one note, and then as soon as we release it, it will be off. So here we go. It's kind of like if you hear on TV when they have those skits and stuff and they want a white noise effect like the old school TVs. It's kind of like what we have right now. We have a white noise oscillator. Cool. So the next thing we're going to want to do, I'm just going to do this in arrangement mode because it's easier, is to select a region. Let's do, I'd say 8 bars. We're going to go to Create, Insert MIDI Clip. I'm going to double click on that, and we can select any note on this entire list here. White noise is actually a compilation of every frequency that we can hear. It's the reason why it's called noise. It's a combination of every note. So when you place a note on the MIDI spectrum, if the white noise is not tuned or anything, that placement of the note will not make any difference, as every single white noise signal is going to be every frequency anyway. So let's just select this one. It's a B, but it doesn't matter. We're going to play that back. And if we hit play here, we'll get that. Let's turn this down so it's not so harsh on the ears here. Let's play it. Cool. Now we have this really stagnant white noise note. Excuse me. So what is a sweep? A sweep is when you take a filter of sorts and you take the frequencies off the top or off of the bottom to create a frequency sweep. It's called a sweep because the filter actually sweeps across the entire thing as if you were taking a broom and wiping all of the frequencies off of a certain section of the tone. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the audio effects. We're going to go to auto filter, and we're going to drag that on here. And to create a sweep, all we have to do is effectively move this frequency right here up and down to create a frequency sweep. To do this, all we have to do is move this frequency here, and as you'll see, this frequency note comes up here. If it doesn't, then we're going to go to auto filter in this pull down menu here. We're going to go to frequency, and then we're going to click here on the automation line. Let's just zoom in right here so we can see a little bit better. We will click again here and bring that down, and you're going to click here again, and it's going to bring this part down. So as you see, if I kind of scrub through this with my hand at the bottom here, we can see that the frequency is moving up and down. So if we go up, the frequency will gradually rise, and if we come down, the frequency will gradually fall. So if we play this back here, we'll get a nice frequency sweep. That's sounding pretty good. The next thing we're going to want to do is take an EQ8, and I'm going to put this right before that auto filter. And we're going to do a little bit of a high pass on this signal before it gets to that filter and before it starts to sweep. So we're going to do a high pass drop off here at the end at number 1. We can actually go ahead and disable 3 and 4 and maybe even 2 and drag this to all the way up to around, I'd say, 450 hertz. See how that sounds. 440 is okay. So if we give this a play here, cool, now it's sounding a little bit more like a sweep. The next thing we're going to want to do is actually grab a reverb plugin. I'm not going to use anything third party. We're going to be using everything in Ableton here. So we're going to drag that reverb and we're going to place it, let's try it before the auto filter here. Let's turn the quality to high. Let's turn the early reflections off, diffusion network off, chorus off, and input processing off. We're going to turn the size up a little bit. We're going to turn the decay time up a little bit. This kind of gives us more of a spatial feeling to that sweep. So if we give it a play here, as it sweeps up, it'll be a little bit more filling now. There we go. And then that is essentially our white noise sweep. The next thing I would normally do in this circumstance is to take a compressor here. We're going to bring the lower volumes up a little bit and bring the higher volumes down, kind of compress the volume levels here to take out a little bit of that dynamic range so we get a little bit more of a solid sweep. And then the last thing we can do is to actually put a side chain on it. Now, it depends on the song you're using. Let's just say that your drums are here, and we're going to just put on any old drum here. Let's do a kick. And in your track, you have a kick drum pumping, right? And you may have heard in modern dance tracks, the white noise doesn't just stagnant rise. It's not like a shh. It goes shh, 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 shh. That's because it is sidechained to the drums, notably the kick drum. So if we take the kick drum here and we put a note on every quarter note here, let me just do this real quick. Try to create some drums for this. There we go. And we give this a play. Turn that down, of course. Up of this at 128 to be a little bit more familiar. And let's take that compressor at the end here and add another one. We're going to add a glue compressor. It's important to use the glue compressor because the regular compressor in Ableton Live 9 does not work as well for sidechain as it used to in 8. The glue compressor actually sounds a little bit better when you're sidechaining. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit this arrow here. If you want to check out my video explaining all about the compressor, what it does, and how the sidechain works, multi-band compressors and that sort of thing, you can also click above me now, and I will. You can check out that video on it. I explained it in depth, and I'm only going to hurry through this one. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, as I said, expand this part here. We're going to hit sidechain. We're We're going to hit audio from, and we're going to select that drum channel we just made, which is drum rack 2. We're going to set the threshold down a little bit so that we can get some action here. It's a little bit too high. Turn up the makeup gain just a little bit, and then when we start playing the white noise, we're going to start getting a little bit of a pushing and pulling effect. Let's just listen to the contrast between that and the original. If we actually grab the white noise effect here and we play it back, and let's leave it enabled for the first half, and then we'll disable it. So as you can tell, that takes a lot of the energy away. So this is a white noise sweep. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I make Ableton tutorials and vlogs every Wednesday and Friday. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to leave your comments below if you have any questions, and if you want to let me know what you liked and disliked about this video. Make sure to like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and I will talk to you guys next week. So thank you for watching again, and this is Julian of Julian Gray Media, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.